For more on this, I'm joined from Cleveland, Ohio by David Leopold from the Americans Immigration Lawyers Association. Good to see you, David. Let me start with immigration reform. I mean, Sean sort of set the background on it. Explain to us or share with our audience what we mean when we talk about immigration reform in America.
Sure, Philip. Look, immigration reform means a system that works for American families, and that's something we don't have. We have a system that keeps families separated, that tears mothers, fathers, brothers, sisters from home, and sends them to countries far away from their families where they cannot be together. We also have a system that doesn't work for American business. And you know, we got to create jobs in this country. There's a lot of people in this country, a lot of Americans who need jobs. And a functional immigration system, something that works, is going to create jobs for Americans and build our economy, build the tax base, build the gross domestic product. It's a win-win for Americans.
Is America united in what they want, not just from the White House, but also from Congress and their elected officials? Because it seems to me, from looking at the headlines around the country, that we kind of agree that that's fine that there's immigrants in this country, but we're not fine with the idea of giving undocumented workers, the 11 or 12 million or so in this country, the freedom to stay.
Well, I think we are, by and large, fine with it. The American public, which has been polled time and time again, is largely in favor of immigration reform, including, Philip, a pathway to compliance, a way for the undocumented to comply with the law. Remember, most of the people without papers would do whatever they could to get papers. The problem is the law is so broken that there is no way for them to do it. And that's really the problem. Americans understand that. You know, this is a country, after all, of immigrants. And I think most Americans respect the hardworking drive that brought people to this country. You know, that's why my parents came here, my father. That's what many of us are here, because our parents or our grandparents came to this country and took a risk.
David, share with our audience, if that's the case, if the majority of Americans do want some sort of action on this policy, why haven't we seen any? We talked about the DREAM Act. That didn't work out. We've been talking for the past couple of years. We're close to getting something done. Congress has not acted yet. What's the problem?
Well, you know, you're right, Philip, but half of Congress did act. The United States Senate, in June of 2013, nearly a year and a half ago, Republicans and Democrats got together and passed a good bill. It wasn't a perfect bill, but it was a good bill, and it reformed the immigration system. It took care of the dreamers. It provided a pathway to compliance, a long and arduous pathway to compliance for those who didn't have papers. It created business visas. It did a lot of good things. It wasn't perfect, but it did a lot of good things. And then what happened was the Republican leadership in the House of Representatives, which is led by Speaker John Boehner, said no. Said, we're not even going to put this for a vote. Forget the fact that the House of Representatives would have passed it.
So the bottom line is Boehner and his friends, the Republican Party, basically didn't even let this go to a vote, and that's why we're talking about this right now. Share with us HB1. Some of us know what we're talking about. You're the expert. What is it, and how do tech companies benefit from it?
Well, you know, the tech companies, and in the intro you talked about, they talked about Forward USA, or Mark Zuckerberg's group. The tech companies really need some help with immigration. They need visas for shortage occupations. We don't have enough engineers, computer engineers in some sectors. We need a fix to the business visas. Look, this is a global economy. And America, in order to maintain our greatness and our standard of living in this country, we need to be competing on a global level. If we don't have an open immigration system, one that works, one that brings in the best and the brightest, our best days are not going to be.
And the H-1B allows tech workers, in this particular instance, to be here on a temporary basis. Now, there's something more permanent we call the EB-5. Yes. You know what this is. And a lot of people, including from China as well, come to the United States using the EB-5. Tell us if this is, first of all, very quickly, what is it, and does it work, and will it continue to work, and are there any limitations to it?
Yes, very good question. Very popular visa, by the way, with Chinese. It's an investor visa, and people can invest up to $1 million, $500,000 or $1 million, and create 10 jobs. And for that, they get a green card and a pathway to citizenship. I got to be honest with you, I think we can do better. I think the EB-5 program is too rigid. I think it needs to be reformed. It needs to be more business friendly. It needs to be elastic, and it needs to be something that a business person, a man or a woman from China, or wherever else, wants to spend money, wants to create jobs in the United States, can do so, but they shouldn't be tied to bureaucratic regulations. So I think we can do better. I think we can do better in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics visas. And I think we would benefit. We would benefit with Chinese investors coming into the United States and with investors from other countries. There's a lot of opportunity here, Philip.
David, I think the vast majority of folks would agree with you, but that's to be seen, I guess, this election cycle. David Leopold, thank you very much from the American Immigration Lawyers Association. Good to see you. Next stop on our road to the U.S. election, as we've been talking about, is the state of Missouri. Sean went to the city of St. Louis for a checkup on the American healthcare system, and a little over a year ago, Republican lawmakers forced a government shutdown partially to show their opposition to the president's signature of legislation we call the Affordable Care Act. So, where do things stand now? Well, one doctor told CCTV it's still in limbo.
I think those of us who are working in American healthcare remain hopeful that that political landscape will allow the parties to come together and to think about how to make really needed improvements in the Affordable Care Act for the betterment of the people that those political leaders serve.
We're going to have that entire big story and a look at how the healthcare costs in the U.S. stacks up against the rest of the world. That is for tomorrow's show. Now, for complete coverage of Sean and the whole gang on their road trip, check out the special webpage. There you will find the stories we air every single night, background info on each of the featured cities, plus some pretty cool photos and interview extras. That is on your screen there, cctvontheroad.tumblr.com.